All right. Last but not least in this division anyway, we're going to move on to the Washington football team and tell me a little bit about them. There's a little bit of buzz about Washington this year, huh?
As there should be. I actually love the Washington football team as this is loading. I'm glad we get to end with them instead of on such a negative with this Philly and Giants offenses. It's a funny division in that sense where I think the Cowboys will be rocket ships. And I think Washington really has the firepower to match them in these games. Now I'm projecting about 630 pass attempts, 424 rush attempts, about 27 more plays above league average. That's because Scott Turner last year played at an 8th fastest pace. He threw the ball top 10 rate as well. And that was with a conservative Alex Smith just dinking and dunking down the field. I think you mix in a guy like Ryan Fitzpatrick, and we might see even more fireworks for sure. So I'm expecting a lot of plays run. I'm expecting a lot of passes. And I think there's just going to be, a healthy pie and a lot of good fantasy players coming out of this team.
What's a good healthy pie? What's something that's in a healthy pie? Like, I don't know. I'm trying to think of a healthy ingredient.
Like a shepherd's pie, a meaty pie.
Okay, it's going to be a shepherd's
pie. You're getting your beef. Like you're filling up and you're sustained with this offense. Yeah.
All right. Got you. All right. So Ryan Fitzpatrick, I think he's on his 9th team. And he's just kind of all perennially fun to root for, I guess.
Yes.
But he does just kill you a couple times a year.
Yep.
421 for 617, 4,600 yards, about 33 touchdowns, 15 picks. That sounds reasonable to me. That's good enough for your QB 14 on the projection board, 16 on big board. The guy could be a great late quarterback grab, and that could maybe help you win a league.
I really think he could. I mean, he was top 12 with Miami in 75% of his starts across the last 2 years, and that was on a run-heavy team with bad weaponry. Devontae Parker was his number 1 across the last couple of years. They played at the 22nd pace. So now you get into a faster-paced offense with more pass attempts going around and far better weaponry. To me, I've been preaching Ryan Fitzpatrick all offseason. He is the quarterback value that I need to get, especially if obviously, as I said yesterday's show, Trey Lance, Justin Fields, the 2 guys I'm like, I need to get those guys. I think Ryan Fitzpatrick is the perfect bridge. You can then get 2 rounds after them and wait it out. He's going to give you plenty of, obviously, as you mentioned, there's those games where he'll throw 3 interceptions, ruin his team's chances, and then be at risk of getting benched. That definitely exists with Ryan Fitzpatrick, but I feel like he's playing his best ball as he gets later in his career. He had that 1 year with the Jets when he had Decker and Brandon Marshall, and they were monsters with him. And even still, I'm projecting him for better stats than he had in that season. I can't wait to see what he does this year.
Yeah, he's fun to root for, and I'm definitely going to have my eye on him too. And I kind of hope he goes somewhere else next year just so he can have played for 10 teams.
that would be lovely. And as you say, not only is he fun to root for, Nat, but if you beat your opponent with Ryan Fitzpatrick at quarterback, the memes and the pictures you can send him of the beard, of him smiling, there's just so much joy he can bring you, and also insult he can bring to your opponents, which I love.
Yeah, I love all that stuff too. All right, let's get into running back Antonio Gibson. This is a guy, I know he's a sexy pick, but I've come around to him. I'm really into this guy.
Ooh, I thought you were going to say you were off of him. I was ready to slap you around.
No, I'm not. I actually think you're too low on him, actually. You got him at 242 for a little over 1,100 yards, 13 touchdowns, 55 catches, 385, and a touchdown. I mean, so that's good enough. That's only good enough for your RB13 on your projected boards and RB9 on the big board. I mean, I like him more than some guys you've got above him on the big board. I'm going to be honest. I like him more than Swift. I like him more than Harris. And if you catch me on the right day, I like him more than Zeke. So we'll see.
Yeah. So, and those are in the projections. I definitely have Swift ranked a little bit lower than him because I think Swift's floor is really low, whereas Gibson's got a nice, sturdy floor and a ceiling that could be league winning. Swift is also on the PPR. I think he's projected for 80 catches. I think he's going to see. We'll get to the lines later on in this week.
Sure.
So I think in the PPR rankings, he might leap him. But overall, I don't have him in my mind and really in my heart over Swift. Gibson's well above him in the way I look at him by a good round or even 2 rounds. And
on the big board, half point PPR, you've got Gibson 10 and Swift 18. So that's correct. The board I looked at, you didn't, and I did not care for that.
Right. And so there's a couple of ways this could go, Nat, is we saw in the first preseason game what I didn't want to see. There was a lot of volume going to Gibson. Of course, that's a good thing. Couple catches, I think 10 carries in the first quarter. Like they wanted to get him going and rolling, but he got taken out in short yardage for Peyton Barber on one snap. He got taken out on both third downs for J.D. McKissic, and that's what kind of capped him last year. He had a monstrous year. I believe he finished RB12 last year, but that was still with all these other guys coming into these other roles. Now the ceiling is, and we saw a tweet come out today that has me all horny. They said Scott Turner, what I've always hoped would be the comparison they draw, is he wants him to be his next Christian McCaffrey. Turner was his father was the offensive coordinator over there in Carolina, Norv Turner, but Scott Turner was on the staff, I believe he's the quarterback's coach then, eventually took over for play calling duties, and we've seen how Christian McCaffrey gets fed as an every down runner, as an every down receiver, 90% of the snaps. Now, I don't think that's ever going to happen to Gibson quite on that level. But, man, if he can get, McKissic saw 110 targets last year, the most among running backs. Let's say he can get what I projected him for, about half at 60 or so of them, where 70 go to McKissic now instead. That would be enough to really elevate this guy to the next level. And if he then does take that Christian McCaffrey leap and McKissic fades into the background, I mean, you're talking about a guy that should go top 3 overall. So there's definitely a ceiling here, even though what I've got him projected for might be sneaky the floor. This is a converted college receiver after all, so certainly he can run routes. And we had Grant Paulsen on another podcast I'll be dropping this week. Great Grant Paulsen. I think you interviewed with me a couple of years ago.
Yeah, I've done
Remember
one
Grant?
or two Paulsen. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. He's
talking to us in his car.
Exactly. Yep. He was doing that again this time. And he was awesome. And he was saying the way that Gibson's looking as a pass protector, running his routes out of the backfield, he was kind of cautioning people like, why is he not playing as he was a receiver. Why is he not the pass catching back? He's like, people don't realize how much different playing the position from the backfield is as a receiver than it is playing out wide, especially in terms of the protection schemes. And so he said that he's looking 10 times better this year. He's expecting him to take a ton of McKissic's work. And that's what I'm expecting here in these projections. And that's why I think as a round 2 running back that you can get right now, there's not a higher ceiling. I've actually moved him above Jonathan Taylor in my actual rankings here. I like him. I love Gibson.
I like him more than Taylor too. All right, we actually seems like we agree more than I thought that we did. I'm high on him. I really am.
Yeah.
Let's talk receivers. Terry McLaurin, he's going to be the wide receiver 1 by all accounts. 91 catches, 1274, 9 touchdowns. That's your projection for him. Curtis Samuel, probably your wide receiver 2. I would say definitely your wide receiver 2. 65 for 715, 6 touchdowns. McLaurin, you project as your wide receiver 15. Samuel, your wide receiver 39. On the big board, you go up a little with McLaurin. You've actually got him 11 on your big board. And Curtis Samuel, you actually dropped significantly to wide receiver 50.
Yeah, I dropped Samuel lately because he hasn't been practicing with his groin injury. Meanwhile, Dayami Brown and Adam Humphries have been showing out in camp. So I think it could get a little ugly behind McLaurin, but I do think McLaurin is going to be that alpha. I mean, 145 targets is what I have him down for here. Yeah. That's going to be top 5 in the NFL, I think, if that stands. And this guy has been a monster so far in his first 2 years. Really surprised. It been a top 20 receiver in back-to-back seasons, despite rotating through garbage at quarterback. Now you get Ryan Fitzpatrick, who's given the career best seasons to Mike Evans and Brandon Marshall, but also your Stevie Johnsons of the world. He loves just giving his number 1 a chance to go up and get it. And just a couple seasons ago as a rookie, Terry McLaurin led the NFL in contested catch rate. So I think this marriage is going to go beautifully. I think McLaurin's going to get the best volume both down the field, contested situations, in the red zone. I think I might have to bump his touchdowns up a little bit here, Nat. At only 9, I could see him easily hitting double digits, hitting 11, 12, and I'm sure that would vault him right into that top 7, 8 conversation should I do that.
Yeah, it definitely would. That's once you get in this kind of range, if you add, 20 points to somebody, all of a sudden, like they've gone from 12 to 8 or something like that, and you look at them a little differently.
Yep.
All right, let's talk tight end to close things out. You brought up Logan Thomas earlier, 72 catches for a little over 800 yards, 9 touchdowns. You said it before. There's no one behind him. He's the guy. No one's nibbling at his cheese, as you would say. And he comes in as your tight end 7, both on your projection list and the big board.
Yeah, and I just love this guy, everything about him. He is kind of where I draw the line at tight end. If I'm getting Kelsey a lot because I have him top 5 in my big board. So anytime I have a 6 through 8 pick and he's there, I'm taking Travis Kelsey. If I miss out on him and Waller, towards the top of my draft, I'll go for. Other than that, I like Hawkinson in the 6th round. And if I miss out on him, I better be getting Logan Thomas in round 7 or 8, or else I think it just drops off. In fact, on my big board, I have Logan Thomas in a tier by himself. Like, he's not quite in the Hawkinson, Pitts, Andrews tier.
He is tier 4.
Right
That's
below
the Logan Thomas tier.
The Logan Thomas tier.
Below Mark Andrews, above Tyler Higbee. I'm not sure I don't like him more than Andrews.
Honestly, you could give me a good – I wouldn't push back on you too much if you took him over Andrews. Like, I'm not sitting here saying Andrews has to go above him. And I've even thought about making that switch in my rankings a couple times. I love him, though. A hyper-athletic guy, ex-quarterback, has translated the position. His first year finally being featured as a tight end. What does he go out and do but ball out? He was the tight end 4 last year, played all but like 2% of the snaps, was an every down player, can do it as a blocker, can do it outside as a big weapon. First preseason game, he hauls in a nice 20-yard bomb from Fitzmagic, so he could unlock Fitzpatrick just as he could unlock the best season from McLaurin. Very could easily take Logan Thomas to the next level. There's a little bit more competition for targets here this year with Samuel arriving, with De'Ami Brown selected, with Adam Humphries now here. There is definitely more mouths to feed, but I think there's going to be a whole lot more pie to feed them with a guy like Fitzmagic doing the work, and especially in the red zone where this guy is 6'5", good body control. He apparently has been dominating red zone drills in training camp because of that big frame, and we saw him do it last year in the NFL level already. When I expect this team to be in the red zone a whole lot more, I think this guy's going to kill it. In fact, that's also a good feather in the cap for Antonio Gibson too. He averaged over 20 fantasy points per game in wins and averaged only 14 points per game in losses because of how game flow dependent he is. So even if his role doesn't go up that much as a receiver, the fact that they're going to be in better game script situations not only helps Logan Thomas in the red zone and the potential touchdown spike, but also Antonio Gibson, who had 12 already. I mean, that guy could hit 15, 20 touchdowns if Fitzmagic takes this offense to the levels I think he could.
All right, that does it for the NFC East.
What is up, you fantasy wolf? Thanks so much for tuning in. If you haven't already, share your thoughts in the comments, check out some more videos, and join the newest Wolfpack by subscribing below.